like an everyday American who loves his country, loves this
for itself.
Just on an off topic, obviously you've read the Atlantic article that's now a subject of a defamation lawsuit brought by
I absolutely did not read that article, but go ahead with your question.
I just, without, obviously it's up in litigation now, have you separately just heard any concerns, given your supervision over the FBI director, about any problems with drinking?
I have a lot of concerns, and my concerns are completely around the anonymous reporting that comes forth constantly. That reporters have an obligation to report, and they have due diligence that they're supposed to do. And when an entire article is based on anonymous sources, and there's things in the article suggesting, for example, apparently that senior DOJ personnel were informed of something, that's me. I wasn't informed. No one called me about that. So, listen, I did not read that article. It is a subject of litigation, but I've already spent too much time talking about it. Next question. Go ahead.
On that, Todd, I'm sorry. The FBI director is on camera with the U.S. Olympic hockey team chugging a beer. Do you think that that's appropriate conduct for the FBI director?
That has nothing to do with the article. Look, there's complete hit pieces, and you guys are in this business, and you know what they look like, and the fact that you're asking repeated questions about them almost as an admission of such. But when you have a bunch of people who are hiding behind closed curtains, saying things but not willing to say it publicly, and there's certain parts of the article that are blatantly false because apparently I was told something that I wasn't, it's suspicious in the back where we are today.
Cal, I do want to give you an opportunity to respond directly to the allegations in the Atlantic article that your unexplained absences created a national security risk. And beyond that, can you say definitively that you have not been intoxicated or absent during your tenure as FBI director?
I can say unequivocally that I never listen to the fake news mafia. And as when they get louder, it just means I'm doing my job. This FBI director has been on the job twice as many days as every director before me. What that means is I've taken half as many days off as those before me. What that means is I've taken a third less vacation than those before me. What that means is that this FBI with this Department of Justice has dropped the murder rate 20 points. What that means is this FBI with this Department of Justice has captured 8 of the top 10 most wanted fugitives in the world, twice as many as the Biden administration did in its entire 4 years. What that means is this FBI has seized enough fentanyl off the streets to kill 178 million Americans, a 31% increase. What that means is this FBI and this DOJ has arrested 43% more spies in 14 months than the entirety of the Biden administration. What that means is this FBI has seen a reduction in opiate overdose deaths up to 20% alone. What that means is that we have found 6,300 child victims, 6,300 families have their kids back. That is a 22% increase from the Biden administration. I'm on the job. I'm the first one in. I'm the last one out. I'm like an everyday American who loves his country, loves the sport of hockey, and champions my friends when they raise a gold medal and invite me in to celebrate. I've never been intoxicated on the job, and that is why we filed a $250 million defamation lawsuit. And any one of you that wants to participate, bring it on. I'll see you in court.
Explain the computer login issue. Just explain the computer login issue. You were not able to log into your lawsuit contends that you were not able to log into the system. What did you think after you were unable to log into the system?
Let's have a survey. How many of you people believe that's true? Hang on.
Did you communicate?
You asked the question. Let me answer it.
No. Did you communicate with anyone that you thought you were fired after you were unable to log into?
The problem with you and your report, don't cut me off. You asked the question.
Straightforward question.
The problem with you and your baseless reporting is that is an absolute lie. It was never said. It never happened. And I will serve in this administration as long as the president and the attorney general want me to do so. And every time you guys report false lies, every time you guys raise baseless questions, when we are here to talk about the Southern Poverty Law Center's $3 million decade-long scheme to fraudulently fleece Americans, you are off topic.
It's a simple, straightforward question. Did you talk to anybody about whether you thought you were fired?
The simple answer to your question is you are lying. And every time you do so, I've answered your question. It's simply as follows. I was never locked out of my systems. Anybody who says
your lawsuit says the opposite. Your lawsuit
anyone that says the opposite is lying.
The lawsuit
Thank you.
that you filed says that that directly.
Man, stop.
Listen to what just happened in that room, because that was not a press conference managing a story. That was a press conference that became the story. Kash Patel walked in to announce an 11-count federal indictment against the Southern Poverty Law Center. He walked out having told the press corps on camera that he had never been intoxicated on the job. That a $250 million defamation lawsuit was his answer to anyone who said otherwise, and that a reporter asking a straightforward question about a publicly documented login issue was lying. Stay until the very end of this video, because the final question, the one the acting attorney general refused to answer and the one Patel tried to bury under a list of statistics, is the question that was already in the congressional record before any of them walked into that room. Watch the structure of Patel's answer, because nothing in it was accidental. He did not answer the question. The question was simple. Can you say definitively that you have not been intoxicated on the job? That is a yes or no question. What Patel delivered instead was a list. Murder rates, fugitives captured, fentanyl seized, child victims recovered, spies arrested, 14 statistics in sequence delivered at speed before the single sentence at the end. I have never been intoxicated on the job. That is a specific rhetorical technique. You do not answer the question directly. You establish credibility through volume. You make the audience feel that a man producing 14 statistics cannot possibly be the man described in The Atlantic. And then, at the end, when the credibility has been established through numbers rather than through substance, you deliver the denial. The problem with that technique is what it leaves out. None of those 14 statistics address whether Patel was observed intoxicated by multiple current and former officials. None of them address whether those officials spoke to The Atlantic on record or off. None of them address why The Atlantic's reporting was specific enough that Patel filed a $250 million lawsuit rather than issuing a standard denial. A $250 million lawsuit is not a small number. It is the kind of number that signals a legal strategy. When public figures file defamation suits of that size, they are doing two things simultaneously. They are creating a legal process that takes years to resolve and during which the underlying facts are largely protected from public discussion. And they are sending a message to other outlets and other sources about the cost of similar reporting. Pay close attention to what comes next, because the login issue is not a side story. It is the piece of this press conference that tells you something specific about how Patel handles questions he cannot answer. The question was factual. His own lawsuit contained language suggesting he was unable to log into FBI systems on a specific date. The reporter asked him what he thought when that happened. That is not a hostile question. It is a question about an event documented in Patel's own legal filing, and his response was to call the reporter a liar, not to correct the record, not to clarify the language in his own lawsuit, to call the person asking the question a liar and tell them they were being extraordinarily rude. That is the same pattern visible throughout this entire press conference. When a question has a specific factual answer that is difficult to give, Patel does not give the answer. He attacks the frame. He attacks the source. He attacks the questioner. He produces statistics or process language or accusations of bad faith, and the question goes unanswered. Now we are at the 3-minute mark, and this is the piece most coverage will not explain. Drop one word in the comments right now: deflection or denial, because those are not the same thing. And the difference between them is exactly what every unanswered question in that press room was building toward. Keep watching, because the zoom out changes what this press conference actually was. Now, step back entirely. Because this press conference did not happen in isolation. 2 weeks before Kash Patel stood at that podium, The Atlantic published its reporting. Patel filed his lawsuit. The acting attorney general said he had not read the article. Then a reporter asked about a video of Patel drinking at the Olympics, and the acting attorney general said that had nothing to do with the article, which is technically true, and substantively beside the point. Because the question was not about the article. The question was about conduct. 1 month before that, the House Judiciary Committee Democrats launched a formal investigation and demanded that Patel submit to an audit screening for alcohol use disorders. That demand is in the record. It has not been complied with. It has not been formally refused. It is pending. And at the press conference itself, the acting attorney general said he had not read the Atlantic article. Then he spent 3 minutes defending Patel against it. You do not need to read something to defend against it, but you cannot claim you have no concerns about something you just spent 3 minutes addressing. Place those events in sequence: congressional investigation, Atlantic reporting, defamation lawsuit, Olympic video, press conference denial, press conference defense. Each event, taken individually, can be managed, contextualized, deflected. But placed in sequence, they tell a story that 14 statistics about murder rates and fugitive captures do not address. They describe a pattern of conduct by the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation that has generated a congressional investigation, a major defamation lawsuit, and a press conference in which the director of the FBI called a reporter a liar for asking about his own legal filing. The question Patel did not answer in that press room is the same question the acting attorney general did not answer either. Not because they cannot answer it, but because every available answer leads somewhere neither of them can afford to go in public. The $250 million lawsuit is pending. The congressional investigation is pending. The Olympic video is still online. And the reporter who asked the straightforward question about the login issue was told they were lying. 3 people in the same room. 3 different non-answers. One question that none of them answered directly. If this breakdown helped you understand what is actually happening, hit the like button right now. Share this with someone who needs to see the full picture. Subscribe and turn on notifications because the next breakdown is already coming. And drop one word in the comments: deflection or denial. Because that word is the case.